Good afternoon and welcome to the Profmed AGM. This is the 51st AGM. It's echoed. And we've reverted to virtual meetings since the pandemic started. One of the early lessons that we learned was the fact that we usually had about 30 to 35 members attend AGMs prior to the pandemic. And since we started to host these on the digital platforms, we now have, and we expect about 80 members to join us wherever you're seated in the country, and we welcome your participation in this meeting. We are using Zoom this year, and so as part of the rules that govern this meeting, we kindly ask you to keep your cameras off, also keep your mics muted. We do have an administrator present here, so we can pick up on any of your questions and answers, which you can post in the question and answer section of the Zoom platform. As always, and annually, we have, from a governance perspective, we have our external auditors, BDO South Africa, who will review all the proceedings at the meetings. And so every question, everything that's said in the meeting will form part of the minutes to this meeting. Just further to anyone seeking support, so if you are struggling to hear us, please, we are going to post in the Q&A section the help desk number. So the number is 010-020-3498. So if you're having problems, and we can't include things like, or we can't resolve issues of load shedding or your own personal bandwidth, but for any other problems, please use that number if you are struggling to get into the meeting or if you are struggling to hear us. We are in the Q&A section going to post some important links, so please keep track of those. If you feel aggrieved in any ways in terms of the proceedings of the meetings, please would you use the email address profmed.agm2022@bdo.co.za. The mailbox is monitored by the independent auditors, and these grievances and hopefully many comments will be noted in the minutes of the meeting as well. I'm going to pause and just check in and allow for those who are struggling just to pose their questions or to revert to us in terms of technical support. So this year, we bid farewell to our chairman, Dr. Andy Newell, who is seated with me, and the rest of the Board of Trustees are actually seated around the table. We know the camera isn't including them, but they are present. Dr. Newell has served the board over the last 9 years, and so completes his third term in terms of being a trustee at Profmed, and has been the chairperson over the last year. I wish to thank him for all his dedication and commitment. He really has allowed us to refocus our efforts on focusing on our members and the customer experience that our members have gone through. So he'll leave a lasting legacy for the future. And so without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Dr. Andy Newell.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome from me, Andy Newell, to the 51st Annual General Meeting of Profmed. We also welcome all the Board of Trustees who are here in attendance, along with our independent auditors, PwC, Mr. John Gardner, who is the Chairman of our Remuneration Committee, Mr. Rob Tienerson, the Chairman of our Audit and Risk Committee, and we also welcome all the other committee members who may be in attendance. We acknowledge the attendance of Simi Basajur, the CEO of our administrator, PPSHA, along with other management and staff of Profmed. We would also like to acknowledge the attendance of Isak Smit, the CEO of PPS. I am the chairman of Profmed, and in terms of Rule 28.1.3 of the Rules of Profmed, I will be chairman of this meeting. The minutes of the last annual general meeting are available for inspection. If you would like a copy, please email profmed.agm2022@bdo.co.za or visit the Profmed website. We have also provided a link to the minutes in the Q&A section on the right-hand side of your screen. An apology for the meeting has been received from Ms. Esme Prince van den Berg. If there are any further apologies for this meeting, please use the Q&A function to indicate the name of the member and their membership number, please. I'm informed that in terms of Rule 28.1.4, proper notice was given for this meeting. In terms of Rule 28.1.6 of the Rules of Profmed, I am informed that a quorum is present. This is the 51st Annual General Meeting of the members of Profmed pursuant to the provisions of the Rules of Profmed. As set out in the notice convening this meeting has been called for the following purposes: to receive and adopt the annual financial statements for the year ending 31st of December 2021 in terms of item 1 of the notice, to consider and, if agreed, appoint Deloitte as the external auditors for the year ending 31st of December 2023 in terms of Rule 27.9 of the Rules of Profmed, as recommended by the Audit and Risk Committee and endorsed by the Board after deliberations following a formal request for proposal in terms of item 2 of the notice. To accept the Profmed remuneration policy by means of a non-binding advisory vote in terms of item 3 of the notice. To approve the remuneration of the trustees for the 2022-23 year in terms of item 4 of the notice. To announce the election of 3 trustees in accordance with Rule 20.1.2 in terms of item 5 of the notice. To transact such other business that may be transacted at an annual general meeting in terms of item 6 of the notice. Should you want to access the documents pertaining to the resolutions, a URL link to the scheme's website has been provided in the Q&A section on the right-hand side of your screen. In terms of Rule 28.1.4 of the Rules of Profmed, the notice convening this meeting has already been made available to you, and I move that it be taken as read. In terms of Rule 29.4 of the Rules of Profmed, a poll has been taken in respect of each resolution tabled at this meeting. Independent auditors have been appointed to audit the polls, and I will announce the results at the end of each resolution. The past 2 years have been very challenging for South Africa. Medical schemes have played an integral role in managing the impact of the coronavirus that has had on South Africa. Profmed's philosophy of being there for the members has ensured that the members have had access to the best and most appropriate treatment available. Many of our members who have contracted the virus have required hospitalization and have benefited from life-saving treatment. The healthcare workers of South Africa have bravely and tirelessly attended to the needs of our members. Many of these healthcare workers are Profmed members themselves. In fact, healthcare workers constitute over 50% of our membership. In 2021, as the vaccine program was rolled out by the government, Profmed's members had peace of mind that their vaccination and related costs would be funded. An effective vaccination program will hopefully reduce the intensity of the disease, the transmissibility, and the chances of subsequent waves due to the new variant infections. The Omicron and Pi variants have proven to be highly virulent, but with less severe symptoms and lower hospitalization rates. It remains to be seen how this virus will impact us going forward. The board and management regularly consult with medical experts to ensure the scheme remains abreast of the most critical information in order for the scheme to respond appropriately. The easing of the lockdown restrictions in 2021 allowed the staff at our administrator to return to the office. This was implemented in a safe and a controlled manner to ensure the well-being of our staff and compliance with the lockdown regulations. The impact of COVID-19 on our call center staff led to intermittent staff shortages, which consequently affected our service levels. Every effort was made by the call center staff to alleviate the frustration experienced by members and providers. And our service levels quickly returned to their high usual levels as reported in our caller rating system. As a medical scheme for professionals, the board is committed to maintaining high service standards for our members. In 2021, we embarked on a process to identify opportunities to enhance our member experience. A strategy was approved by the board and key elements are being rolled out in 2022. We look forward to seeing the fruits of this and to providing our members and stakeholders with a superior specialized service experience. The cost of claims increased significantly and the claims ratio increased from 82.2% in 2020 to 95.5% in 2021. COVID-19 was the most significant factor that drove this increase, with over 120 million rand being paid out for hospitalization, medicines, PCR testing, and vaccines. Pre-admission PCR testing cost the scheme a further 8.2 million rand. The claims experience was driven by members accessing treatment previously forgone in 2020. The number of high-cost cases significantly increased, with 283 cases costing over 350 million rand. Once again, COVID-19 contributed to this high claims expenditure. Global and local investment markets recovered well from the lows of 2020, and the returns in 2021 are a credit to the board's long-term investment strategy. The investment income of 168 million rand contributed to the scheme's ending off of 2021 with a surplus of 49 million rand, 88.7 million rand better than budget, and with a solvency ratio of 41.4%. The operating loss for 2021 was 23.9 million over budget, and the board has already implemented a long-term strategy to ensure that Profmed remains a sustainable scheme. Political and economic uncertainty and the many unpredictable healthcare variables will need to be addressed in the future. Financial constraints in 2021 resulted in many of our members buying down to more affordable options, but continuing to claim for high-class treatment. This behavior led to contributions being 15 million rand lower than budget. The financial pressure was further evident in the presence of new members who elected to join Profmed's more affordable options. Profmed's non-health expenditure for the year 2021 is 10.9% of net contribution income. The board resolved to reduce the scheme's non-health care expenditure to below 10% within the next 5 years and have agreed on a strategy to achieve this. Amongst other savings, attendance by trustees at board committee meetings has been streamlined to reduce meeting attendance fees, but without compromising the necessary oversight that is required. Negotiation of below inflation increases by the management of the scheme with healthcare providers has been a focus for many years already. Our principal officer, Craig Comrie, has achieved much in this regard, and we commend him for this. Management will continue to engage with healthcare providers and contracted outsourced partners with a view to containing fee increases as well as the cost of healthcare services. Together with our marketing agency, our marketing budget has been optimized to ensure the best return on investment of our marketing efforts, ensuring we reach the target market in the most cost-effective manner, but without compromising our brand and values. The medical industry has experienced little growth for a number of years, but Profmed's membership grew by 1.4% in 2021. Our new business and marketing teams work in close collaboration to ensure Profmed is top of mind amongst edible professionals within our target market. Attracting young professionals is essential to ensure the sustainability of the scheme. We continue to attract the desired age demographic, and this is evidenced by Profmed's average membership age having remained constant since 2015. The coronavirus pandemic has had significant psychological, physical, and financial impacts on the world. The trajectory of this virus and its effects are still unknown. The level of impact appears to be decreasing. While it has had a very high level of transmissibility, the Profmed experience of Omicron was not as devastating as its earlier variant. A sense of hope, optimism, and normality appears to be surfacing. However, people are still struggling with the aftereffects of the pandemic. Not forgetting the tragedies of the last 2 years, we eagerly look forward to rising to meet the opportunities that lie ahead. The Profmed team is focused on propelling the scheme, our brand, and our membership into the future, where together we can make a difference. The government's national health insurance plans are undergoing interrogation. Profmed supports a universal healthcare system for all South Africans, but the lack of detail on how the NH model will be financed still remains a concern. Profmed is an excellent scheme that is well managed and offers rich benefits and is adaptable to the changes in healthcare environments. This would not be possible without the exceptional, professional, and experienced members of the board and management of the scheme. I thank my fellow trustees for their dedication to ensuring the sound governance of the scheme and for the sacrificing of their personal time to do so. I applaud our principal officer and management for the enthusiasm and commitment with which they serve Profmed, our members, and all our stakeholders. The Profmed team has gone above and beyond the call of duty under very difficult circumstances. We are also appreciative of the services provided by our administrator, PPS healthcare administrators, who have aligned themselves with the ethos of Profmed to provide service excellence to our members and stakeholders, as well as our various managed care and contracted outsourced providers who manage the benefits offered by the scheme. I have served Profmed as a trustee for 9 years, my last year as chairman of the board. My tenure as a trustee ends on the conclusion of the annual general meeting of 2022. I am confident that the passion and dedication with which the trustees, management, and staff serve Profmed will ensure the success and growth into the future. We now turn to the annual financial statements. The annual financial statements of Profmed for the year ending 31 December 2021 were included in the annual integrated report, which was made available to all members. Highlights of Profmed's results were also made available to all members. I will take the annual financial statements as read. Any queries regarding these financial statements will be responded to at the end of the session. We also have attending today representatives of the scheme of the external auditors, PwC, as well as the Chief Financial Officer of our administrator, will assist in responding to these questions in this regard. The auditor has reported on the financial statements and accounts examined by them, and their comments were included in the annual financial statements. I now propose that this meeting receives and adopts the annual financial statements of the Profmed for the year ending 31 December 2021, including the reports of the trustees and the Audit and Risk Committee and the external auditor. Musa Jenna has agreed to second this resolution. The poll on this resolution has been taken. The result of the poll on the resolution to receive and adopt the annual financial statements of Profmed for the year ending 31 December 2021, including the reports of the trustees, the Profmed and Audit and Risk Committee, and the external auditor are as follows: 94 votes for, 3 votes against, 9 abstentions. I declare that this resolution has been passed by a majority. In terms of Rule 27.1, a resolution is required to appoint external auditors. I now propose that Deloitte be appointed as the new auditor of Profmed for the 2023 year in terms of Rule 27.1 of the rules of the scheme. Gavin Harvey has agreed to second this resolution. The poll on this resolution has been taken. The result of the poll on the resolution to appoint Deloitte as the auditor of Profmed is 94 votes for, 4 votes against, 8 abstentions. I declare that this resolution has been passed with a majority. I now propose that the Profmed remuneration policy be accepted. Debbie van Dijk has agreed to second this resolution. The poll has been taken. The result of the poll in respect of the non-binding advisory vote for the adoption of the Profmed remuneration policy is 80 votes for, 5 votes against, 21 abstentions. I declare that this resolution has been passed by a majority. The approval of the remuneration of trustees for the year 2022-23. The poll on this resolution has been taken. I now propose that this remuneration of the trustees for this period be approved. Karine Hekroot has agreed to second this resolution. The result of the poll on the resolution to approve the remuneration of the trustees for the 2022-23 year is 74 votes for, 6 votes against, 26 abstentions. I declare that this resolution has been passed by a majority. Election of trustees. In accordance with the provisions of rules of Profmed, Profmed has 8 trustees, of which 4 are elected members, while the other 4 are appointed by the board. There were 3 vacancies on the board for elected trustees, and there were 14 nominations for this position. The nominees in alphabetical order were Dr. Brown, Advocate Krauser, Dr. Dasu, Mr. Du Toit, Mr. Hablitzel, Dr. Heppel, Dr. Lawrence, Mr. LaRue, Dr. Madfield, Advocate Melville, Advocate Smallberger, Mr. Sunda, Dr. Tabana, and Dr. Velgemuth. According to the BDO audited results of the election, the nominees who received the highest number of favorable votes were Advocate Johan Krauser, Mr. Hugh Du Toit, and Dr. Janelle Velgemuth. In accordance with the audited results, I am pleased to announce the election of these trustees to the Profmed board. With regards to motions, there were no valid motions received. Under general items, the meeting is now open for questions and comments. If you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A section of the screen. I again confirm that all questions raised will form part of the minutes of the meeting, and where time does not permit answering them today, they will be reviewed by the Board of Trustees at the board meeting tomorrow. Do we have any?
We've had a few questions, but they have been answered.
Okay.
There's one open question at the moment, but we'll just wait. I see there's a comment saying thank you very much. So I think we'll pause for 5 minutes just to allow people to type their questions, and then we'll call the meeting to a close then.
Okay, if I can wait for your go ahead on that, provided there are no incoming questions or comments.
Answer. There's one question that came through. Ask the IT administrator just to move the camera, and I'll happily answer that one, Chair, if you allow me to.
Please do. Thank you, Craig.
Thanks. The question's from Adam Sneyman, and it says, can you briefly describe the measures to counter the past loss suffered? I think if you look carefully at the financial statements, you'll quickly find that from an operating perspective in the last 2 years, or certainly in the 2021 year, there was a loss, and we spoke about that. That was caused dominantly by the effects of COVID. We know in some of the other medical schemes in the industry, the effect of COVID claims were offset by people not accessing elective surgeries or going to hospitals. And so in the Profmed context, because many of our members are healthcare professionals, in fact, what we have seen is that they've been impacted more so by COVID. And our claims since the start of the pandemic, we've paid just over 300 million rand worth of COVID-related claims. And that includes treatment in hospital, whether it be procedures, ventilation, or other, as well as some of the money we've spent on protective equipment that we've had to fund as well as testing, and then vaccines, the last costs that we tend to be picking up. We do envisage these costs still to be with us for some time, but Omicron showed that it was quite a muted effect. So with the actuaries, what we're doing in terms of managing those operating losses is every year we look carefully at our benefit structures, making sure that the benefits are still relevant to all our members, and we adjust contributions only where we have to. So unfortunately, we have seen above inflation contribution increases for the last few years, but we have a 5-year projection and a plan in which we curtail these operating losses, and hopefully we can get to the stage in the next 2 years to actually break even. After that, the opportunity to bring down our premium increases year on year is far better, and so we do see a far brighter future in terms of turning around the losses that we have seen in 2021. Those losses have been offset, and it was clear in the financials. The offset was in the form of investment returns, and 2021 was really a stellar performance in terms of our investment portfolio, and some of that has offset the losses, and we continue to offset future claims losses using our investment returns. So all of that is carefully planned into our future, and so in the next 5 years, we'll see the reserves starting to build up again. And I hope that answers your question, Adam, but I'm happy to engage with you further regarding any of the financials and provide you with more detailed information from our actuaries as well. I don't see any other questions in the interim. Over to you, Chair.
Waiting to see if we are on. Thank you, Craig. There being no further items for this meeting, I do now declare that the meeting is closed. Thank you for your attendance. It's greatly appreciated.